Get going.
Hello, I'm Owen Connor. This is my speech to inform over George Washington. This is my audience. The purpose of this speech is to inform my audience about the influence of George Washington to the United States. George Washington has had a major influence throughout the years on the United States and our government. George Washington is one of the most influential people in our country's history. I believe I'm credible because I have learned about this topic in history classes throughout school, and I have credible sources for my information. My key ideas are that he led the Continental Army to victory in the Revolutionary War, he created the Presidential Cabinet, and he is on Mount Rushmore. First, I'll be talking about how George Washington led the Continental Army to victory. Americans knew they could trust him with his power, and that is why he was able to lead the Continental Army. He was going on with enough of a national platform to represent the entire country. The people have willingly given up all the power to Washington, and because of this, the executive branch was created. This information is from millercenter.org. My second part is because of the victory over the British, George Washington was the only person capable of receiving the position of president after it was created. He was the only person who could have held office in 1789 when he was elected. He was the most famous American at the time because of the Revolutionary War. This information is also from millercenter.org. You just learned that because of Washington's victory in the Revolutionary War, he was the only person even capable of becoming president, which led to the creation of the executive branch. Next, I'll be talking about creating the Presidential Cabinet. Creating the Presidential Cabinet, each president since Washington has worked with the cabinet. Presidents select their closest advisors and determine how they will obtain advice from those individuals. Some presidents, such as Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt, flourish with its flexibility. This information is, again, from millercenter.org. The cabinet was a major way that Washington influenced the government. The first meeting of Washington's cabinet was where Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton's feud started. The feud is the reason we have a two-party system in America. This is from the essay Thomas Jefferson, The Best of Enemies. George Washington's creation of the cabinet influenced politics and government greatly. Finally, I will be talking about his place on Mount Rushmore. Being on Mount Rushmore. He is on Mount Rushmore because he is one of the best presidents in our nation's history. When he was elected, he was unanimously elected through the Electoral College. He had all 69 of the electoral votes for president. This came from millercenter.org and millercenter.org, mountvernon.org, and IPL.org. He led the colonists in the Revolutionary War to gain independence from Great Britain. Washington led the Continental Army in the War for Independence. Though through this, he became one of our founding fathers and led the creation of the American democracy. This information came from mps.gov. George Washington is on Mount Rushmore because of his great works and influence to our country. This speech was to inform my audience of the influence of George Washington. Washington led the Continental Army to victory because of the power that was entrusted to him by the people. Because Washington created the Presidential Cabinet, some presidents have been able to flourish in their presidency. He is on Mount Rushmore because of his leadership and ability to lead the colonists to gain our independence. I hope you learned about George Washington and his influence on our country. Thank you for listening to my speech. This is my audience.